Pain at the gas pump is seeping into consumer spending. In today's cover story, deconstructing the latest manufacturing data. Plus, Trump under exam. A U.S. attorney gives the Donald failing grades for his business school. And worried about the stock market? One money manager recommends a cup of coffee. First Business starts now.
You're watching First Business. Financial news, analysis, and today's investment ideas.
Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, August 27th. I'm Angela Miles. In today's first look, market-moving comments. Stocks fell yesterday on ramped-up rhetoric from Secretary of State John Kerry calling serious actions inexcusable following a chemical attack. Also, Treasury Secretary Jack Lew says the U.S. government will hit the debt ceiling by mid-October unless Congress votes to increase the limit. By the end of the session, the Dow fell below 15,000, losing 65 points. The Nasdaq was unchanged, and the S&P dropped 7. Gold crossed the $1,400 mark, and oil is trading around 106. JCPenney's aching stock shares fell Monday on word hedge fund manager Bill Ackman is selling 39 million shares. He's the single largest shareholder in JCP. Tony Harris, the Performance Trust, joins us today. Tony, the market shrugged off that durable goods order number yesterday, but today we're going to be looking forward to that GDP number. What do you see in the bond market?
Well, I think the bond market has definitely had a little bit of change in terms of, it caught a bid early in the day on Monday and it held the gains throughout the day. You had a really poor new home sales report back on Friday, and then, of course, the poor durable goods report on Monday. So I think you're catching a little bit of demand, which is a little bit of a shift that we've seen recently.
What's happening with stocks relative to bonds and bonds relative to stocks?
Well, yeah, you saw a lot about the great rotation back in May and June when the taper talk first began. You really did see some of the rotation in terms of the fund flows. You saw people moving out of bonds and into equities. But what you've seen in recent weeks is you've actually seen some significant outflows out of equities as well as bonds. It looks like the beneficiary right now would be money market funds as well as commodity funds.
And what about that taper talk? Economists believe that some sort of taper situation will happen in September. The Fed may be looking closer to December, maybe even into next year. What's the bond market telling us?
I think the market really has been anticipating a September taper, but I think the last 2 days that we've seen of pretty poor economic data, I think people are starting to think that maybe it might even be a little bit later than that. Or on the flip side, you could also have a slight reduction in the amount of the anticipated reductions that the Federal Reserve was going to employ in terms of its tapering.
Tony, thank you for your insights. We appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Angie.
In our cover story, the fiscal drag on the economy from cuts in government spending may extend longer than previously thought. That's the finding of economists after orders for durable goods, things meant to last at least 3 years, fell in July. Across the U.S., there were fewer orders for aircraft parts, computers, and electrical equipment in July, a downturn that may filter down to MRL Industries, a suburban Chicago maker of, among other things, the boxes that hold computer components behind cockpit instruments.
That affects the pace of work because the schedules are not as firm, and customers, very large customers, can come in and say, we don't want it in August, push it out to December.
Economists say struggling overseas markets, which is half of MRL's customers, and a drop in government spending are to blame. So next month, Jim Soderquist and a team from MRL Industries will travel to Singapore to drum up business.
I think that we are going to get an increased market share in what we were doing. I think that we are going to be cost effective. We're going to meet the delivery metrics they give us, and we'll be a growing business.
For now, however, there's this dip. New orders of durable goods fell 7.3% in July. But in fairness, it followed a blistering June. There's also a backlog of orders not yet filled and hope that orders from Europe may pick up, although not quickly. Still, it's leading some manufacturers to reorganize the shop floor and improve efficiencies now in anticipation of better times. Here, that includes a bid to bring a job from Mexico back to the U.S.
Aren't your labor costs higher, though?
Much higher.
So how can that be a wash?
In Mexico, if they make 2 per hour, we can make 10 per hour. If they put 4 people on a machine, we have 1 person running 2 machines.
Still, the disappointing durable goods report could be a factor that holds off the Fed's expected tapering of its bond buying program that many analysts expect to begin by this fall.
Sales of big-ticket appliances are slipping at Sears. The Wall Street Journal reports among top sellers, appliances now account for only 29% of the retailer's value, down dramatically from 40% a decade ago. At Lowe's, appliance sales improved to 19% from 10%, and Home Depot's jumped to 12% from 4%. Also, Sears' private label Kenmore has fallen from #1 to #3 as Whirlpool and GE have moved up.
The Donald is on the defense. Donald Trump is reacting to a lawsuit brought on by New York's Attorney General. The suit claims Trump made false promises to students of his for-profit institution, Trump University, and that Trump persuaded students to spend tens of thousands of dollars that they couldn't afford for lessons they never received. Trump lashed back, stating that the institution received a 98% approval rating from students. Dean Harold Krent of the Kent School of Law in Chicago says this could be a sticking point for the Attorney General's case.
Well, that certainly is an issue in this lawsuit, right? If all the evaluations after the seminar proved to be successful, or at least satisfied customers, that would undermine the notion that this was consumer fraud. Not entirely, but at least it would undermine it somewhat. After all, the New York Attorney General's office was flooded by complaints of consumers who said they weren't satisfied.
Krent says for-profit institutions have been a target in recent years. He says due to the bad press, fewer lenders are willing to give students money to attend the schools.
Goldman Sachs' recent trading glitch could wind up costing the firm tens of millions of dollars. Goldman put out waves of wrong orders to trading exchanges last Tuesday. The Wall Street Journal reports some of the trades have been canceled, others corrected. Yet there may be a price to pay for the mistake. Reuters reports 4 senior tech specialists are now on administrative leave. At J.P. Morgan Chase, a top litigation lawyer is said to be leaving the bank in the wake of a slew of lawsuits and investigations against that firm.
About 1,300 American Airlines employees have been permanently banned from trading the funds available to them in the company's 401k plan, and another 800 have received warning letters about it. According to an investigation done by Reuters, at issue is the practice of collective trading by a group. This can force fund managers into buying and selling securities at inopportune times. And an investment advisor told the Chicago Tribune that it's akin to taking a chainsaw to an ingrown toenail. In other news about American Airlines, the carrier's profits doubled in July to $292 million.
2 trading exchanges are merging to take on the New York Stock Exchange. Bats Global Markets and Direct Edge are combining to become the second largest trading exchange in the U.S. behind the New York Stock Exchange. Bats and Direct Edge hope to have a competitive edge with high-speed trading, even though trading volumes are falling.
Traders are keeping an eye on biotech stocks. It follows the merger of pharma giants Amgen and Onyx. Amgen will pay $10.4 billion for Onyx as the company now gains more access to cancer-fighting drugs. The deal is expected to close at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Onyx currently has 3 cancer treatment drugs and 1 in the works. Both stocks gained traction on the news, with Amgen closing up $8 and Onyx closing up $6.
U.S. corporations are pouring money into Singapore. According to reports, U.S. businesses invested $138 billion during the past 10 years. Singapore now leads other Asian nations with outside investment money coming in. We asked Tim Mulholland of China America Capital what makes Singapore so appealing to investors.
What's attractive about Singapore is they have a very solid financial infrastructure. Extremely sophisticated. They have a very sophisticated workforce, and most importantly, there's a real rule of law there with protection of property, and I think that's a very important thing.
Singapore was also first among Asian countries to sign the 2003 Free Trade Agreement with the U.S.
China's economy is in focus this week. Chinese officials are assuring skeptics that its economy is stabilizing after growth slowed for 10 straight quarters. The government there says that there are new signs of momentum now and that China should hit its growth target for the year. In Greece, the country is set to qualify for more bailout money. A member of the European Central Bank notes Athens is on track for more aid if it keeps with current measures to cut down on its debt.
Walmart is suffering a setback. The world's largest retailer has been intent on expanding into India. However, the Financial Times says the plan is now on hold. The Indian government reportedly is investigating whether Walmart violated rules, including bribing Indian officials to get permits to open stores.
Boeing unveils its latest Dreamliner model. The 787-9 is 20 feet longer than the original Dreamliner and will be able to carry 40 more passengers. The 787-9 is the second version of the newly designed and lighter aircraft. Boeing expects to make its first delivery to Air New Zealand in mid-2014.
General Motors is changing its Super Bowl game plan. The automaker says this year it will advertise during the big game. The company wants to build buzz for several new models. GM made the call last year to opt out of advertising during the Super Bowl, claiming the rate of $3.8 million per 30 seconds was not worth the money.
McDonald's has a mighty plan to boost sales. The company will roll out its so-called Mighty Wings nationwide throughout September. It'll also beef up its menu with a new wrap and pumpkin latte. And Subway has a new flavor focus. The chain will add garlic bread as an option for its sandwiches starting the beginning of September.
A federal judge has approved a deal that drops a discrimination suit against celebrity chef Paula Deen. This latest development comes 2 weeks after a judge dismissed race discrimination claims brought in a suit against Deen by a former employee. The chef has seen her reputation take a major hit after she admitted in a deposition for the case that she used a racial slur.
We lost a legend over the weekend. Muriel Siebert passed away Saturday from complications of cancer. Siebert made her mark in the financial industry by becoming the first woman to buy a seat on the New York Stock Exchange. She went on to make millions and donate much of her money to help other women in the financial industry. Siebert was 84. Angie?
And she'll be remembered for fighting the old boys network. Thank you, Chuck. On to the economic calendar for today. It's Case-Shiller 20 City Index and consumer confidence for August. On the earnings outlook, watch for Tiffany, TiVo, DSW, and Movado. Still to come, if gas prices are down, why are consumers hitting the brakes on spending? Plus, has Tesla reached a turning point in the marketplace? And after the break, a startup survival guide. First Business continues after this message.
Tesla's racing ahead of the competition in California. Drivers there are buying more Tesla cars than other luxury brands such as Porsche, Jaguar, Volvo, Land Rover, and Lincoln. It also sold more than Fiat, Buick, and Mitsubishi. Things aren't so bad for the stock either. Yesterday, shares gained nearly $2, closing at $164.
Tesla is proving itself as a star startup, but 44% of all new companies fail after the third year. Jackie Keenan reports from Florida on the growing need for business incubators that promote growth.
It's amazing data.
Dr. Cindy Sandberg's company is about to go big time. Her product, NutriStem, which gives a boost to stem cells, may soon be found on grocery store shelves.
Right now, we are in the final review with Kroger for possible placement of our products there. So we're very excited.
Sandberg owes her success to the University of South Florida's Tampa Bay Technology Incubator. Incubators arm entrepreneurs with the resources needed for success. With a focus on life sciences, this incubator helps scientific entrepreneurs develop companies focusing on things like cancer detection treatments and medical devices.
It's not just a location, it's a process. It's the network, it's the people, it's the support, and it helps people, early stage companies stay on track. It helps the entrepreneurs sort of have milestones and accountability.
Nurturing and consulting entrepreneurs are the main goals of a business incubator, but giving them access to investors is equally vital. This was the case for Sandberg, but getting in touch with her inner businesswoman was also critical.
There are a bunch of neuroscientists that got together. What they primarily helped with the most was marketing ideas, some of the business plans, executive summaries, and organization of that to better our package.
Cities like Tampa, Florida, that were hit hard by the recession are embracing incubators as a way to fuel job growth. 3 have opened in this area in the last year alone. And with most incubators focusing on technology, those jobs are professional and high-paying. Here at the Tampa Bay Technology Incubator, more than 40 companies have created more than 300 jobs, with salaries averaging $65,000.
As those types of statistics get known, then areas realize the importance of supporting entrepreneurs.
According to the National Association of Business Incubators, the number of incubators have blossomed to more than 1,250 across the country. The association says a startup success rate is 87% after going through the rigorous process, compared with 44% that don't. Reporting from Tampa, Florida, I'm Jackie Keenan, First Business News.
While many focus on technology, incubators can specialize in everything from the arts to manufacturing.
A new test to be taken by some college students will assess them as they leave school. It's in response to employers who become skeptical of college credentials, inflated grade point averages, and some who flat out say a high GPA is not a barometer for success in the workplace. It's called a Collegiate Learning Assessment, or CLA, and will be offered to seniors next spring at about 200 colleges.
Coming up, the pinch at the pump, why consumers are holding back on spending even as gas prices drip down. And later on, why one trader says he's watching the coffee crowd for market clues. That's coming up in Chart Talk. Consumers are showing signs of exhaustion when it comes to back-to-school spending, and gas prices could be the culprit. Jeff Leonard, representing the National Association of Convenience Stores, is Skyping with us this morning. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, riddle me this. Gas prices are falling for now. The national average for a gallon of unleaded is $3.54, down 9 cents from a month ago and 20 cents from a year ago. So what's going on with the consumer? Why are they feeling the pinch?
Well, consumers react to price increases or price decreases, not what the price itself is. So what we're seeing is a big increase in pessimism related to the previous run-up in prices that we saw that happened in late July. People, when we surveyed them in early August, they still had that in their minds. And hopefully with the recent price decreases, people will feel better. Because when you get into the fall, I think all retailers are looking for happy customers and more in the way of sales.
It's amazing, though. You do see so much hinging on gas prices. So how do they cut back, for instance?
Well, I think what they do is different customers do different things. Some may buy gas more frequently. If instead they may get $10 worth of gas a couple times a week, never really filling up. That doesn't really do much for gas mileage. It's not really, I think, what anybody wants. Sometimes they may cut back on trips, too, where you'll see they'll combine trips. They may come to the store and they may get their drink there instead of going down the street. That's good for our industry, but we also don't want pessimistic customers because you don't want to be blamed for the gas price, even though it's not your fault.
Did consumers have anything positive to say?
Well, I think that we were really impressed by how honest people are on a monthly basis. They really understand the issue. And when you hear that 88% of consumers find that gas prices really affect their view of the economy, that's pretty huge because when you see those prices, when you drive to work in the morning, when you drive home at night, and you just get that drumbeat of prices, you can just see what it does to consumers and why they are so frustrated with the recent run-up.
Thanks again for your thoughts. We'll have you back next month and see what happens.
I hope they're very happy next month.
Just ahead, as the going gets tough in the stock market, the tough get going buying stocks. Find out about one hot stock next in Chart Talk. Matt Shapiro, president of MWS Capital, joins us now for some Chart Talk. Hello, Matt. And I might imagine people out there are starting to freak out with the Dow below 15,000, but not those who watch our show. They know it's all about the long-term trend. So what do you see in the market that you like right now?
Well, what I like are those classic American brands. Now, I know everyone's saying, well, Matt, that's what you always like. But, you know, with the Dow where it is, it's backed off a little bit. But so many people, the big question is, well, what stocks do you buy? Because so many have done so well. Do you go for the Googles? Do you go for the value? Do you go for the stock that's down on the luck? Do you go for the emerging markets? And what I'm saying is just focus on those companies that really do it right. And one stock I think is a good template is Starbucks, which has become one of our largest holdings over the years.
Now, Starbucks is trading around $71, so it's relatively high, but you say this could be still a good time to buy.
Well, it is high, and you know, it has a PE of about 26, which historically is about average for it. But what I'm saying is, in this market, stock picking is going to be very crucial. So stick to companies that you really like and you really want to own. And there's no question about the integrity of the profits and the business momentum of Starbucks. And you know, one thing I'm noticing is, in that sort of slower 3 p.m. slot, I've noticed a lot of kids going in, getting those Frappuccinos and the like. So here's another extension, another business line for Starbucks. This store is very, very busy at all levels.
So it's very hip and cool with the young crowd.
Absolutely. And, you know, there you go with those Frappuccinos. Then when they're 18, 19, 20, they start getting on coffee like us when they have to work hard.
And the addiction begins. Thank you, Matt.
You got it.
That's all the time we have for today. Join us tomorrow for the details on a new plan to get every small business in America to hire one worker. Will it add up to real job growth? We'll find out. Thank you for watching today. From all of us at First Business, we wish you a tremendous Tuesday.